If you're a first time or a new flyer, this video is for you.
Hi, I'm Tayler. I'm a frequent traveler and digital nomad, and this is what you can expect when flying. When you first get to the airport, just find your airline and check in. I like to use the little kiosk. They make it super fast. You can print a boarding pass, your luggage tag, anything like that. You can also do check-in if you haven't done it online, which honestly, you should just check in online or through the airline app. But you'll still need to check your bag, so go ahead and print out your tag, put it on, take it to the agent to get it weighed, and then you are all set. Next, you're going to go through security, which I already have 2 videos on, so you can go watch those. But the main thing to know is that there's going to be a pre-check line and a regular line. Just make sure you pick the right one. Then when you get through security, sometimes the gates are right there, like they are at DFW Airport, right here in the video. And sometimes you're going to have to walk a little way. So if you're not familiar with your airport, just be prepared for that. But either way, there are signs literally everywhere. You can see them here. They're all throughout the airport. It's really going to be hard to get lost. You can also find these boards typically near the security checkpoints to double check your gate and make sure that it hasn't been delayed and it's still on time. Now, as far as food goes, there's no shortage of options. They're going to be periodically throughout the airport. You can see here, this is just one little section of the food. McDonald's is in every airport, I swear, and all around the world. And if you plan on getting Starbucks at the airport, get there early because the line is always super long. Now, I like to bring an empty water bottle and fill it up at the airport to avoid having to buy plastic water bottles. That's up to you, but that is something I recommend. Expect the airport to be busy. This is Monday morning at 9 a.m. and you can see how many people are already there. Just give yourself enough time to actually get around. Once you find your gate, you can kind of just hang out and chill out. Right before boarding, I actually like to go use the restroom, whichever one is closest by. It's just a little bit nicer than going on the airplane. Make sure you're wearing comfy shoes. You will be walking a lot. Now, once your boarding group has been called, you can head up to the line to get your boarding pass checked. These are people just standing there, even though it's not their turn. Please don't be those people. When you get up there, he'll take your boarding pass. You don't need your ID or anything else. He's just going to scan it and you're good to go. Now you're going to walk down these long tunnels down to the airplane and then stand in line. So much about this day is just going to be hurry up and wait. Now, once on the plane, you'll just check the overhead compartments to find your seat row. And then if they're closed, that usually means they're already full. And if they're open, hanging out, that means there is space. Once you find your row, you can put your stuff up top and then get into your seat. I was back a little bit further, and I actually prefer to put my stuff underneath the seat instead of putting it up top, just because I like to access it and get into it during my flight. Once in your seat, you can expect that in front of you, there's going to be a waist bag as well as a safety manual. You're welcome to read this. It just kind of gives you an idea of what to expect in case of emergency. Some also have magazines, but this flight didn't. This particular airplane also had a USB port and a charging station. I typically only expect this on international flights, but it's really just going to depend on your airline. And here I'm flying American Airlines. Your seat tray has to be put up for takeoff and landing, as well as any large electronics, so just be aware of that. We'll also have an overhead light as well as individual air control, but just be aware that the air doesn't really get cool until you get up in the air. When you're on the tarmac, it's still pretty warm. Make sure your seat is buckled and then get ready for takeoff. It can kind of be a weird sensation your first time. I would liken it maybe to like a roller coaster. Once in the air, you now have access to internet and online entertainment. Now, this is really going to vary per airline and the length of your actual flight, so just double check before you go. But in general, most of them offer some sort of online free entertainment. And I personally like to bring my own headphones. You can get them from the flight attendants, but planes are so loud, I really prefer noise canceling headphones at this point. Now, beverage service is going to happen earlier in your flight than later. Here I got some apple juice and a little Biscoff cookie. On domestic flights, they're really only going to come around once. On international flights, they usually come around 2, maybe 3 times, depending on the length of the flight. They'll also come around and collect trash multiple times, so it's okay if you're not ready the first time they come around. Now, on this flight, we actually did have quite a bit of turbulence. It was maybe 15 minutes long. The pilot came on, turned the seatbelt sign on, and let us know what was happening, but it's totally okay. This is a very normal part of flying, and you can see out of the plane, we are doing just fine. There are no issues. It's just a little bit of bouncing around. But for the most part, this flight was really smooth. Now, I did not go to the bathroom because the guy at the end of my row was working the entire time. The guy next to me was sleeping. So it just felt like a lot of effort to get out. And since I do like to sit next to the window, this is another reason that I like to go to the bathroom right before I board the plane, just so that I don't have to deal with any of those issues. Now, once you land, if you are in the back of the plane like I was on this flight, it is going to take you a little while to get off. Just be patient and double check all of the seat backs and pockets and make sure you have all of your things, because once you get off the plane, you are not allowed to get back on. I have another video on what to do if you have a short layover, so you can go watch that. In this case, I was just exiting the airport, so that's what we're going to keep doing. Once you're at your arrival gate, just look for the baggage claim and ground transportation signs. Those are the ones you want to get out of the airport. If the bathroom line is too long right where you exited, which it normally is, just go ahead and pop on over to the next one. It's usually a lot shorter. Now, once you get to the exit, there's going to be these red signs that say exit only, no re-entry. That means that you can't get back through unless you go through security. So just double check you're ready to leave the airport. Once you get down to baggage claim, there's usually numbers assigning the different carousels and TVs telling you which one your luggage is at.
After you pick up your bag, again, you're just going to follow all of the signs to either taxi or ground transportation or pickup area, depending on how you're leaving the airport. I walked you through what an entire flight looks like. I hope you found this helpful. Please feel free to leave a comment, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about flying.